Okay, so our breakout session is engaging members. So let's go ahead and get started. And when Eric and I, when we did this last year, what we wanted to do was really facilitate discussion to get ideas out there in the room. So I'll just start off as the questions, and I'll be taking notes as well. But what is working for member engagement in your clubs right now, if anything? And don't worry, I'm going to ask later what's not working. So everybody will get a chance to speak. Does
Yeah,
anybody want to start? Yeah.
this is Steve Westenhofer. I'm an AG, but I'm in the Deming Club, and I have found that new members really rally around the youth programs, whether it's RILA or the four-way test, and I think it's a good way to kind of get them hooked early on versus other things. So I think youth programs is a good way to engage brand new members.
Agreed.
Yeah, our club tries to get new members involved in running the club. I'm a prime example of this. I've been a member of the club for less than a year and a half, and here I am as the president-elect. And our president-elect nominee is also a new member, so he came in since I did. So getting the new members involved in actually running the club so they feel they've got a part to play in the club really gets them hooked into it.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that, Dean. When I joined my first club in Pennsylvania, they gave me a job right away, and I do think that helps in terms of retention and keeping people there. So yeah, thanks for that. Anyone else?
One of the things from the Rotary Club of Albuquerque, my year as president was immediately after we came out of Zoom land during the pandemic, and so re-engaging members was a challenge. And what worked for us is I decided at the beginning of that year that I was going to have personal contact with each of our members. And so personal contact in the way of phone calls, in the way of handwritten notes uh, to each member, and that was really effective. So I think one of the things, there's sort of mass communications to our club sometimes, but I found that individual communication to each member was very, very effective in re-engaging folks.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, Mark, because one of the theories I have about engagement is that since we've switched to email, and I heard an anecdote, I don't know if it's true, but the person who invented email wishes he hadn't invented it, actually, which makes sense to me because send a lot of email and that's not really engagement, right? Like people don't, like they're tending more and more to not read email. Some people still do, but then they'll tend to read only short emails. So I'm seeing like a lack of engagement because there's so much of that going on, and what you're describing is exactly right. And it is more work, but I think it's an investment worth doing.
I think so too, and I've heard that same anecdote.
Then it has to be true. We have two data points, so that proves it. Yeah.
Well, the other thing that really gets the members involved is if you've got a fundraiser or if you've got some kind of project where they go out and they do hands-on work for
Absolutely.
more than just, sitting at lunch or something like that. You get them actually talking to the other members and working together, and you become good friends doing that.
100% agree. And they get to see their impact, right? Like a lot of people join because they want to make an impact, not so much have lunch, although the lunch is nice with other people, but that's not why a lot of people join. They join because they want to make a difference. So yeah,
it's
that's
especially true for targeting younger demographic as well. I want to go to a meeting and feel like I'm accomplishing something. I don't want to go to a meeting and spend a lot of money on lunch, and that be the only benefit. So you're looking for meaningful projects and meaningful activities so that people feel like there's that cost benefit analysis, and are you being value added at your meetings? Are you providing something more than just lunch? And that's a big piece that you look for when you're trying to build that engagement.
Okay. Anybody else wanted to share something that's working for them?
Am I on the microphone?
Yes.
Okay, our club is very, very strong in having guest speakers in. And for the time that I've been a Rotary member, it's the quality of the meetings has been the attraction to the lunch meetings, I think.
Mhm.
And you guys are talking about other things going on in the meeting. It's being led by the president, but and then people are giving reports or giving opportunities to give reports. But then the primary focus of the meeting has always been the guest speaker, I think. And Bianca might be able to address that also, especially being past president. Maybe she's not in this. What?
We do have good speakers.
So here's a question for the group then. How do you decide who your speakers are going to be? Do you take an interest inventory from your membership that you're tailoring some of those presentations to what people are interested in? I know there are certain clubs that, for 6 weeks in a row, they hear from the different coaches of each athletic team at their community, and their attendance dips because it's not really what their club is looking for. So, great speakers are great, but you want to make sure that what you're bringing in interests your club.
I don't know we've ever done a poll of who the club would like to see as speakers. We have a committee of 12, and they each bring in 4 to 5 speakers for their given month. Am I wrong about that, Bianca?
No, that's right. So we have, I think we're kind of unique in that way with our club is we have a volunteer sign up for every month to find those speakers. So we're not counting on one person in the club to find all the speakers. So I know one time when I did the speakers, I said, let's travel. So I found somebody who'd been to Antarctica, somebody who'd been to Germany, somebody who'd, and so my 4 speakers all talked about a world trip that they took. So there was a little bit of a theme to it, but it was, somebody else in the club didn't think about that. And so I think because we have different people with different groups that they know and experiences that they have, we have a really good variety of our speakers.
And in a way, even though you haven't done a poll, because you have different individuals finding speakers, you are getting input that way, actually, kind of indirectly.
Yeah.
And it seems and your membership levels have stayed relatively stable, or anybody complained about the speakers?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, so it's kind of like that input and that variety is kind of getting at it a little bit indirectly, I think.
Yeah, I'd hate to be the one person in the club to find the speakers every week.
It is a tough job. I did that job for a previous club.
Clubs that I belonged to in the past have done that. But the club the Sandia Club does the same thing that you do, Bianca. We do it a month at a time. And I did it last month. I found a guy who was on that American Ninja Warriors thing who runs the gym here in Albuquerque. And I found a guy at the Historical Museum. They've got a speakers bureau, and he talked about the Albuquerque Yazoo, that nobody even knew what a Yazoo was until he came and told us. And everybody really appreciates these things. You can find some really good speakers if you go out and look for them. And I had the president of the Beekeepers Association came and talked about bees, and you can find all sorts of different things that are interesting to everybody.
And we in the El Paso Northeast Rotary do the exact same thing. We sign 2 board members to each month, and then the number of meetings we're going to have each month, and then they're responsible for bringing in the speakers for that month as well. So we too have a variety of speakers that come in throughout the year.
And the other thing that I love about what you're doing there is that it can be hard to ask people to do a job for a year, but for a month, you tend to get more engagement. Like they'll, okay, I'll do a month and then it's somebody else, but then you're keeping them engaged without them having to say no to you. I don't want to do, I don't want to do it for the full year.
Right.
Really like that.
The problem you can have finding speakers is you don't want to go and get somebody who's just coming in to ask you for money. And that seems to be what an awful lot of them are. If the club has an existing relationship with a particular project or group, fine, to have them come in and do that, but otherwise, not so much. And getting RILA speakers to come, or RILA kids who've been to RILA coming in works really great, but that generally works only for evening clubs, I think. It's hard to get the kids off in the middle of the week. We managed to get a couple of them this year who came in on a school holiday that just coincided with our meeting day.
Interesting. Okay, well, kind of related to what Eric had raised, I just want to share quickly this tool. Does everybody know about this? The member satisfaction survey? Everybody familiar with that one? And we can send the link after, but it's kind of going back to what Eric said, like, do you poll your members about what they're interested in and speakers? And this can apply to everything. And this is a several page document, but you can put this survey in SurveyMonkey or Google Docs. And I'm happy to help. I'm sure Eric would be happy to help anybody if you need help doing that. And then you can send it out to your club, or alternatively, some people just don't fill out online surveys. They just won't do it. So you might consider printing it out and just doing it in 5 minutes in your meeting. And that way you can kind of get a greater sense, especially where you're this group, it tends to be larger clubs. For smaller clubs that are 10 or 12 people, like when I was president, I called each person individually and got their feedback. But when you're 70, that's a little bit trickier. So just be aware this tool is out there, and you don't have to do all the questions. You can pick the questions that are most important to you to keep it short, because again, people tend to, especially if you send it out electronically, if it's a long survey, it makes it harder to get the results back. So just something to consider there.
One addition to that is, if you send out a survey, make sure you do something with the results. Nothing is worse than having a survey done and then nothing. Why do we do it? This is an important piece. It's an easy piece for you to get concrete data points for you to judge where your club is doing. We want to be data driven to an extent to help grow our club. So if you do a survey, make sure you follow up. Don't just do it to check a box.
That is critical.
We did lots of those while I was teaching. Here, take this survey. We don't care what you say, but take it. And so make sure you're using it to be productive.
What was the name of that survey you put up a minute ago?
It's the membership satisfaction survey, and I was trying to figure out, and I can say we'll definitely send the link after, but I was trying to just put it in chat as an attachment. So I think I'm almost there. Hold on.
It is also, I believe, Jeff emailed out the Be a Vibrant Club brochure.
Yes.
It is on page 4, that link there as well.
Thank you, Eric. Yep, that's a good point also. Yeah, that Be a Vibrant Club document is really, because it's got all the links to like all the things that we're talking about today. So hold on to that one and you can find everything. And I did just put the PDF of this survey in the chat as well, if you want to download that directly. Okay, and then we talked in the main session about potentially starting new clubs. So just one other resource I wanted to show quickly is that My Rotary does have a lot of resources on this as well. as well as what's in the Learning Center. But did anybody happen to answer yes to Jeff's question that they would consider starting a new club? And would you be willing to talk about that if anybody did answer yes?
Yes, I answered yes.
Great. What are you
Uh,
thinking, Dean?
I'm thinking a satellite club. We meet in a multi-generational center here in Albuquerque. We don't have a meal. And we're somewhat limited on the size by the size of their classroom. So we've got about 20 members right now. And if they all come, it's pushing it for everybody to have a chair. So I'm also thinking the centers are all over Albuquerque. And I'm thinking that we can start another one perhaps closer to where I live, because this one's 25-minute drive for me to get to it. But I'm not sure, just how to go. Well, satellite clubs are something new to me. I started a club in California 20 some years ago. Got interrupted by 9/11, but we finally got it going, and that ended up being a cocktail club. And I'm thinking
Nice.
that's it turned out to be a really great club, and it's still going strong. And I'm thinking that that's more appealing to the younger people. People can come in at 5:30 or so, and they're there till 6:30, 7 o'clock, and they go home for dinner. And I'm
Yeah,
hoping to get one started, but I don't really. We're still new to Albuquerque, so I don't know that much about getting it started and how the place works and all that stuff, and even if they've got a big enough room for us.
And for Sandia, I can't remember off the top of my head, who's your assistant governor? Do you know? I can look it up, but I don't have it. Oh, there he is. There's your guy, Dean, Richard
Okay.
Bruce.
Okay.
Yep. So as AGs, we assist the clubs with anything that they need help with. So if you are really considering that satellite club, yeah, definitely reach out to Richard for sure.
Okay.
There you
Well,
go, Richard.
I'm
can have
thinking
a
I'm gonna
chat,
wait till
yeah.
after my year as president is over before I really get going with it. I think I've got enough other things happening right now. I'm also involved with the Marine Corps League, so that I'm going to be busy guy next year.
Got it. Okay.
A
Well,
great
they do
thing.
have.
Oh, go
Yeah,
ahead.
sorry. No, you go. You go.
A great thing about satellite clubs is you only need 8 people to start one, so it doesn't have to be a huge chunk of your club. A lot of clubs that I've talked to, they push back against satellite clubs because they go, oh, it's going to take away from our membership. But remember, a satellite club is just a separate, it's like a limb of your club that maybe is just a little bit better for some members of your club. It doesn't, nobody is taking away your members. It's just an addition to that maybe would help you grow, because there are people who, as work situations change, maybe a noon meeting in the week just doesn't work. But a 5:30 cocktail meeting is perfect. So you're not losing members. And in reality, you're probably going to gain members. And you only need 8 people to start that satellite club.
Yeah, right here. Like as you pointed out, Eric, they're billed and counted and billed as members of the sponsor club. So yep. And that's the other thing too, is like you mentioned a cocktail club, Dean, or you could start an environmental club. Like if you have a cause-based club, then it brings in people that are interested in that. They may not be interested in a traditional meeting, but then you're opening up the pipeline for people that are interested in other things too. So yep.
Okay.
Good. I did want to ask if anybody had anything they wanted to share that wasn't working, if they wanted to talk about that, anything we could tackle as a group, as a challenge that you might be seeing in terms of member engagement. And that's okay if not. I know it's a little bit tough in a group setting like this, like you may not want to share, but that's another thing you can discuss with your AGs if you are running into challenges as well. You can bounce ideas off of them and work with them.
How do I get this little brochure that says starting a satellite club?
So it is linked in the Starter Club, which I think this is the same link. So I didn't have the Vibrant Club. I'm failing as a facilitator because I tried to pull up the Vibrant Club brochure and didn't have it. But this link I'll put in the chat, but I'm sure it's also linked in the Vibrant Club brochure.
I'm double checking right now, but I'm
Thank
pretty
you
sure.
very much. I'm sure something similar is, but I will put this in the chat
Yes.
also.
So
Okay,
it's
perfect.
again page 4. Vary your meeting format gives you the links to different guide to passports, guide to satellite clubs, flexibility, all of that stuff, service clubs, all of it. Sorry,
Thank
I'm
you, Eric.
checking.
Nope.
They also this wasn't here last year. They also have a guide to corporate memberships now. Alternative memberships. There's a lot of information that's available now.
Yep. Okay, and then any other, so I have one more question, and Eric, I'll check with you if you had any pending questions, but anybody, any other topics that are that's on your mind that you want to raise at this point? And if not, we'll go back to our questions.
I don't think so.
Okay.
One thing I do want to point out, because it was said in the big meeting, don't solely focus your recruitment and engagement on young members. Everybody brings something to Rotary. Don't exclude any demographic group. We're not trying to hit a quota. We're not doing any of that. Find the mix that works for your club, but don't exclude older members, younger members. Everybody's got something to contribute. So
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I've
don't
been
pigeonhole
struggling
yourself.
with that a little bit because sometimes the older members are retired, tend to have more funds available, more time, whereas a younger member. So just like Eric said, everybody has something to offer at a different point in their lives. So yeah, fully agree with that, Eric, 100%.
Jen, I just want to throw something out. And when you asked about things that aren't working to engage, one of the things that I've heard, it was a point of discussion at the recent AGLG training in Socorro, and I heard a few people, including Meredith, make reference to it when we were in the large group. And that is that one of the things that seemed to engage people in the clubs, and certainly in the club to which I belong, the Rotary Club of Albuquerque, when I first joined back in 2008, our club was deeply involved in lots of fundraising, and that really engaged people. People were involved in that. People were excited about that. We did different projects through the years. And now my sense is, and certainly that's the sense with Rotary Club of Albuquerque, but also, as I say, I'm hearing from other clubs as well, that fundraising is not engaging people the way that it did. And I'm sure there are any number of reasons for that. But I think at least one reason might be, I suspect, that at least in Albuquerque, and I suspect it's true in other larger communities, is that there's so many nonprofits now trying to raise funds, and trying to do fundraising is like pushing an egg uphill with your nose. I mean, it just, and so anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there and see if how other people would respond to that, if they've had similar experience, if they've heard similar things from other folks.
Well,
I
our
can,
club doesn't do fundraising, which was a real surprise to me when I joined it, because I didn't think Rotary clubs didn't do that. Everybody throws in $100 that we put into a fund to fund the charities that we want to help, and everybody puts in another $100 that goes to RI, or Rotary Foundation, and that's our fundraising. It's comes entirely from the members.
and I would say for my club, we do one fundraising event a year. But we've tried, because that one fundraising event is raising only a certain amount of money. We're a small club. We've thought about augmenting it with other things, but usually those things involve selling, like selling tickets or popcorn or car wash ticket, things like that. And that's been that's not selling is not really in my club's interest, which I can totally relate to because I used to be in sales and I got out because I didn't like it. So I do understand that. So maybe that's part of it too, is that it's maybe harder for members to ask, and it's easier, like Dean, you're saying, it's just easier for everybody to pool their own money than try to organize something. Could be.
Yeah, well,
I don't know.
like we're a real small club too. I mean, I think we got 20 members on our roster, and there's probably 15 of them are active. And it's hard to put together some kind of a fundraising event with that few people.
Yeah.
My other clubs all had 40 to 90 people in them, and you know, you can do something with that. But
Well, so you get club members involved. So I'm trying to, Ruidoso does a very successful enchilada dinner / bingo, and I've been there and with the intent of trying to bring that to Roswell, but they involve the high school cheerleaders, the football team, the dance team, and then those guys help the night of the event, you know, with the cleanup, with the serving, with the you know, whatever else they need, and that way those groups also get a portion of the take. So it's not, you know, while there are a lot of Rotarians involved in this event, they involve community groups.
yeah,
There,
that's
That's a great
there's
idea.
an idea.
Well, and along the same lines of picking up on what some others were saying, right now, we just finished our nursing scholarship gala, which was very successful. But one thing we noticed this year especially, that a lot of the sponsors started pulling back. And we didn't have as many of our bigger sponsors, and some of the bigger sponsors even decreased the amount of sponsorship. And even in running the silent auctions, we didn't see quite as much bidding going on, the competitive bidding among individuals. I run the wine pool for that, and we did not find many of the New Mexico wineries willing to contribute this year. When we did last year, we got a lot of participation from New Mexico wineries last year, but this year, hardly anything. And so I don't know if it was the economy or people are just getting hit by so many different organizations now. But we did see, and so it is getting difficult to do some of that fundraising.
I would say it's economy based. This is, you know, I'm a small business owner. This has been the worst year since COVID for us, surprisingly. So I really think you're going to see that across the board, is that people right now are struggling and you want to do good, but it's hard. And, you know, we get hit up probably 3 times a week for money.
Yeah,
and you go, no, I can't. You know, it's one of those, but I think the economy is a big factor in the lack of fundraising this year because everybody's struggling.
Yeah, so we're about to shift rooms. So just the takeaways I wanted to leave you with that we just discussed was take a look at the links in your Vibrant Club brochure that Jeff sent out. Make sure you ask your members one way or another what they want to do, because that's a way to keep them engaged, either through an electronic or paper survey or individual phone calls. And then to Mark's point, maybe if we can think about how to get away from email and have a more personal touch, more engagement one-on-one, I think that'll help bring our clubs back together. So yeah, any other final thoughts? Good. Okay. Well, I really appreciate the discussion. Thank you all very much for contributing.
Thanks to you and Eric.
You.
No problem. And I really appreciate Eric's llama I mean, looking at that llama really has kept me very cheered up this morning.
You've got to have
Yeah.
fun.
It's a new Rotary member.
Yeah.
I forgot I had a meeting with Director Himmelsbach the other day and I forgot to turn it off, but he liked it. So, you know, let's have fun. Rotary should be fun. We don't have
It
to be
should be
stuffy.
fun. Agreed. 100%. Is that a llama you know personally, Eric, or
No, I just was looking for
sad?
good, fun background. You know, we have an alpaca farm here in town. I could go get a picture of an alpaca.
Oh, there you go.
That'd be great.
This might be an alpaca. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, I think it's a llama. I'm not sure.
The difference.
We'll tell Jeff that's what we talked about. The differences between llamas and alpacas.
Really engaging discussion. Yeah.
Alpacas are fun. We took our youth exchange students to one up by Mora. And that was very interesting. Because they spit.
I think they offer yoga classes with the alpacas here, but I can't imagine that being a great experience.
I'm coming. You just
Okay.
sold me. I'll
There
be
you
there.
go.
Yep.
Come on down.
Yoga.
Create a llama club.
There we go.
There you go. See?
Llama Issues Club will be a cause-based.
Cause-based club.
Love it.
Thought about that corporate memberships thing, so it's good to see that there's some resources out there. I'll check that out.
Yeah, because they weren't there last year. So it's nice to see some positive movement from RI on getting more information out.
Because yeah, it's been talked about for a few years, and I've tried to ask some people, but nobody is really doing it yet.
And that was under the flexible options for clubs. you
Yeah,
said?
so if you go down a little bit more, Jen, it's like the resources
yeah.
here, middle. I pointed at my screen like you can see that.
I did. I felt it.
But it's there. But you know, the corporate
All right. Looks like we have everybody. And it sounded like, Eric, you started the recording already?
I guess it never stopped.
Oh, okay. Perfect. All right. So we'll just give it one more minute while everybody shifts over.
Well, I think you and I are the only two that shifted.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry.
Everybody else did here.
That's silly. Okay, you're right. Good call. So this breakout session is about engaging members, which we talked about in the opening session can be a real challenge, but lots of clubs have creative ideas on how to do that. So Eric and I have run this session another time before, and what we found has worked well is if we get the discussion going and learn from each other. So I'll just start us off by saying what's working in your clubs right now to engage members. Does anybody have any ideas that they'd like to share?
Can you define engaging members?
Yeah, well, I can give it a stab. The way I think about it is having members that want to return and stay with your club, feel like they belong as part of the club, and are actively working in the projects and that kind of thing, as opposed to just sort of showing up. And that's one level of engagement. Just being at the meeting is one level, or no engagement is then ultimately they leave your club. So it's kind of a spectrum, and you want to try to keep them more on the actively engaged end of the spectrum, where they're excited about what they're doing, returning, bringing new members, all those things, all the vibrant aspects that we talked about this morning. Does that help? And Eric, do you agree with that? Feel free to add.
You want a club where people are excited to come back week after week. It shouldn't be a chore. If you notice your membership is feeling like it's a chore to go to Rotary, you're not being engaging in the proper way. You may be doing a lot of things, but it may not be what your club needs.
Well, I can say in Sunrise El Paso, a lot of that is driven by the programs that we have on a weekly basis, our speakers. If you get somebody that's active in the community, is giving a great presentation and can pull members into whatever it is that their activity that they're promoting or addressing, that tends to bring people back the following week. And of course, all of the speakers are presented, upcoming schedules are presented in our club website so that members know what's going on. President will send a notice out, hey, this is the speakers for the next month, so that we, again, membership understands who's on the agenda and coming up.
And how do you choose your speakers, Harold? Do you have one person responsible for that, or?
We actually have two people, and one of them works for the, she works for the city, so she has a pretty understanding of what's going on, community-wise, city-wise, county-wise. That helps us, as well as we don't just rely on one or two people. We also ask members, hey, if there's somebody that in a particular area, whether it's in, for example, in mental health, or somebody wants to talk about how the real estate is doing in the area. And we had TxDOT a representative give us an update on all the road construction in El Paso. And if anybody's traveled from El Paso to Las Cruces, they understand the issues there. So those, it's not just one or two people. We also engage with the membership to say, give us, one or two names for the next 2 to 3 months. We're currently booked on our speakers through May.
Wow. And I like what you said there about relying on the members. We heard in the last breakout session, several clubs actually assign a member per month. So there's no one person that's responsible for finding speakers. They rotate. And that's kind of what you're doing as well, where you're asking the members for input also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, our club, Jen, we've got 52 members now. Every member brings one speaker throughout the year. So everybody knows they're responsible for one. So it really, you don't have to worry about finding multiple speakers. You just need to find one good speaker, which is something we struggle with because a lot of people don't, take it seriously. So you've got to work on that. Something we talked about in the last room is, are you asking your membership what kind of speakers they're interested in? Are you getting that feedback from your member base that the speakers that you're bringing in will be engaging to a majority of your club? Because a lot of times we go, I think this person is interesting, but I may be the only person in my club who does. So we want to make sure that we're appealing to a wider base so that we're engaging people. And we don't want to see those dips if they go, hey, I see the whole month of meetings and there's not a one that I'm interested in, I'm out. We want to be aware of that and cognizant of that.
That's something that I see also. We may have speakers, but they may not be of the level that I think that probably had to be at Rotary. And I'm sure some of the other fellow Rotarians in our group think, well, we could have, when we were doing Zoom, we used to get people from the state and, from the government to do it. And living in so far away from all the big cities, right? It's hard to get somebody to drive down there to come in person. Right. So maybe we need to look at upgrading our technology so that we could have them Zoom in and therefore we could have a different level of speakers.
Yep. I think that's a great suggestion.
The nice thing about the Zoom era is showed us that, the world is really small. Don't just look for speakers inside your community. I know one of the clubs here in our district had a Nagasaki survivor who Zoomed in and discussed what it was like growing up after the atomic bomb in Nagasaki. Prior to COVID, that wouldn't have been feasible. But now we realize that the world is small. So don't just look inside your community. Look outside as well. Rotary's connected. There's 1.4 million of us. Reach out. A lot of clubs, they'll pick a club on the other side of the world and they'll have just a co-meeting together where people get to talk to each other. Well, people will get to experience a different culture, things like that. You can all do that over Zoom now. So it makes for an easy way to find an engaging program.
Great. Okay, and we heard that too. Having good programs is certainly a way to keep members engaged. Anybody else have anything that's working for them to engage members?
We have a wide variety of programs, and it seems like the Rotary Club seems to take over stuff that everybody lets go of, right? A few years back, Miss Fiesta that was done by our women's club in our town decided they couldn't do it anymore. So the Miss Fiesta program was taken over by Rotary. So you have a different group of Rotarians that want to be involved in that part. And we have our Don't Meth program, which is drug prevention, which is a different group wanting to get involved with that. Right. And then you have our traditional scholarships and four-way test, you know, and those kind of things that, you know, it seems like different people want to do different things. So you just got to find a wide variety that people want to be involved with. And our seniors are involved with a lot of the essay readings and scholarship programs, and they come out to the events. They just don't, you know, a lot of our people have been in Rotary for 30 years. They just don't want to be on a committee anymore, or they don't want to be on a board, but they always come out. Even when they don't even sign up, they show up. Okay. So they're very valued.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and that was something we were also talking about earlier, is that Rotary has been talking about focusing on young members, which we should focus on attracting young members, but really older members, all members have something to offer. So don't just limit your focus to one particular demographic. Older members may tend to be retired and may have more time as opposed to younger members with families. So it's good to have a mix, and it's good to draw on all those different groups. So yep, exactly right, Steve. And how do you find out what your members are interested in? As you said, Steve, you do all these things that interest various members. How do you find out?
You know, I don't think we do, to be honest with you. I think we just we talk to our board at first, then we take it to the group and they vote, you know, on it. In a general meeting, we say, hey, are you interested in this? We have a rule. We don't a lot of times we get invited to put tables up at different events, right? So we ask the Rotarians themselves, would you participate in this if we take this on, and let them decide, right? And if they don't sign up, we just don't do it. We do National Night Out, which is a blast. We have about 15 Rotarians show up to that every year. We play games for the kids and give candy out and school supplies, and it's a fun time. But there's other times we are invited, like we were always going to the county fair and setting a booth up for 3 days. We just couldn't find enough Rotarians that wanted to do it anymore. So we pulled away from that because they didn't see the value added of standing around, you know, lots of times and there's nobody there yet, right? And so that kind of went away. So sometimes it's trial and error, you know. Our Student of the Month program, where they bring the kids in and present them a certificate, draws the parents in, and sometimes they become future members, which is kind of nice. It also puts good publicity in the newspaper. We try to publish every guest speaker and every Student of the Month or Student of the Year or all these things in the newspaper and on Facebook. And we win every year. We win the Civic Club of the Year for the county, and has 12 years I've been involved in the club. So we are engaging. I just don't, and when I say about, you know, are we engaged, I don't think we're quite engaging enough with our own membership, and it has to do with training, you know, especially I brought in 2 members that are about 33 years old and another 25-year-old who owned a business. Some of them I taught at the university level, and telling them to put it on their calendar, make this a weekly event for you to show up. And it's difficult for them. You know, they got kids, they get sick, you know, life goes on, you know, so you can't beat them up too much.
What you said is a big, go
social
ahead.
media? Do you use social media to promote things?
Absolutely.
Which one?
We have Facebook. and we share stuff on Facebook every week, as far as who's coming there. We also use our our Facebook page is also used along with several of our members' pages to promote community events. So it drives people to your page, right? But the other part of that is you also have to have someone that will monitor that page, and we haven't had that as much, but we don't have as many people on our Facebook page. We've got about 350, or I've got like 2,500 on mine. So I tend to share events to them. In other words, I tag them our Rotary page, and it puts it right on there. So there's an event going on in the community and that stuff. But we don't have a web page. A lot of people don't look at web pages that much anymore. They use Instagram and all these other things that are all linked to each other. So, it's just it's difficult to engage the young people for me, and for some of our. It's just a matter of sitting down with them and talking to them and spending that time when they initially get in the organization, and that's a common mistake. We get people involved. We get them to join, we talk them into coming, and then the mentorship stops, right? It didn't never start, really. I mean, and that's where we lose them. They don't come anymore.
And that's across the age groups. One of the best things you can do is give somebody a job early on. Get them, but don't just randomly assign them a job. Get them a job that interests them, and you'll buy in. Most new Rotarians quit within the first 2 to 3 years. If you can make it past that 5-year number, they're more than likely to stay. But if you bring in somebody regardless of age and say, okay, here, you're going to pay for lunch every week, here are your dues, we have lunch, and that's it, you're not adding any value to them. And we want to be a value added proposition for them so that they're excited to come to Rotary. And if they have a job that they're passionate about in the club, that helps drive that value added design.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, Steve, like orientation too, in addition to that, job orientation, just to let them know what our organization is, because sometimes they come and they stay and they still don't know after a year really what's involved. And so there is a tool that's linked in the Vibrant Club brochure that Jeff sent out. So in your email, you have this Vibrant Club brochure here, and on page 4 are links to any tools I showed today are linked here. And so I'm showing the introducing new members brochure, assigning a mentor, involving connecting them. So all the things we're talking about is there. And then to our earlier discussion where we were saying, how do you get member input? There is a member satisfaction tool linked as well, to a member satisfaction survey. So something you might consider within your club. Although if your club is of a small size, the more engagement one-on-one you can do, like reaching out with a call as opposed to an email and electronic survey, I highly recommend that. Because there's so much email, like people just won't respond to the surveys, or if you can print them out and have them in a meeting and have people just do it while they're sitting there, that's a good way. But ultimately, we want to ask our members what they're interested in. And actually, you are, Steve, indirectly. You're putting it to vote in front of your club, and then you're discontinuing events where people vote with their feet and they don't show up. So you are taking input, but this is just another tool to consider for everybody to gather and collect that input.
I think a common mistake in all the organizations I've been involved with in asking people to do stuff, we just ask the people as a group, right? And that gives them the ability to say no in their mind and not speak up. But I guarantee you, if you walk up to a Rotarian, you put your hand on their shoulder, you talk to them one-on-one and say, hey, we need your help. Most of them will always say yes. And then you got them hooked in and just get them. But the bottom line is just putting it out and broadcasting it in a meeting. So what we do is we circulate a sign-up sheet every time we do an event, and therefore they sign up and they put their phone number down next to it. So now they've agreed to be there and they put it in writing. So that makes sure that they come too. And sometimes they can't make it because of family emergencies. But like I said, we still get people showing up that didn't sign up, which is wonderful.
Right.
Yeah, Jen, I think to your point, it's not only asking what people want, but I think also clarifying what they don't want to see, what they don't want to participate in. I think that also helps clarify things. If you can get a list of, even if it's as Steve says, a one-on-one conversation with somebody says, yeah, I'm more than happy to do this, but hey, if I got to pull weeds at a garden, I don't do that at home. I'm not going to do it at the garden either. So don't sign me up for that one. So I think that's also important. What don't you want to do?
Critical. Yep.
When I was president, I did a survey that I had them fill out at the meeting, and it had a list of like 10 service projects, a list of 10 social activities. And I said, pick 3 that you like, but also tell me the 3 that you hate, so that we know what we're trying to build here and that we're getting. And you find those people in your clubs. You may have people in your club who love to go pull weeds. That's their jam. And that's a place for them to serve. So being engaging is offering those different modes of service. Some people, they want to write a check, but that's important to them. That's their way of serving. Some people want to go build a ramp, or some people want to go talk to kids at the school. It's being adaptable and finding different avenues of service, which, Rotary is great at, to find in your club what really makes them tick.
Agreed. And email is really what I'm finding is email isn't really not engagement. People think it is, but we get so much that some people have we have so much information flying at us all the time that people, understandably so, they just shut down. They're like, I can't keep up with all this. So getting back to what you said, Steve, like putting your hand on someone's shoulder and having a conversation with them, the more we can do with that, and when you have a larger club, sometimes you do need to rely on surveys, but the more you can get in that one-on-one conversation, I find the more effective information you get too. So just something else to consider. Bob, were you going to say something? Oh, okay. Sorry about that. And Deb, it looked like you came off mute earlier. I just wanted to check with you. Did we, was there anything you wanted to share?
I just wanted to share something that my president has started this year to increase engagement is we do have speakers from the community most of the time, but once a month at our meeting, we do what we call club engagement. So we will just play a game, have people, just talk about some of their experiences or just, so everybody gets a chance to know each other a little bit more. We all tend to sit with our core group at Rotary, and this way we just get a chance to learn about everybody. So I think that's helped a lot this year.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I can give you a suggestion that we do, but we do fundraising throughout our meetings, at every meeting, and we do people pay $1 to make an announcement of what's going on in the community. And since they're in all these different organizations, they'll pay $1, and that goes to our scholarship fund. And then we have happy dollars, right? Something happy in your life happened, or birthdays or anniversaries, right? And we sing happy birthday to them. And then we do a 50-50 drawing, which allows us to put 50% of that, and we use cards. So there's 52 cards. You got to get the joker, right, to win. You might win to draw that day, but we usually raise probably about $2,500 a year through just fines and 50-50s, which pays, several of our scholarships. But it's fun. Sometimes it gets a little out of control, I think, because it gets to be too fun. And they always tell me, because I'm short, to stand up, even though I am standing up. And then that person gets fined $1. And once in a while, somebody will call somebody in Rotary. Somebody in the meeting will dial them, and their phone will ring, and they'll fine them $1. And that person will squeal on the other person who called, and they have to pay $1, right? So it can be quite engaging and fun.
It's those little things that make your club unique, that are really the key touchstones of membership engagement. Find what you're good at. If you're the fun club, if you like joking around and goofing off, fantastic. People get into that. It becomes infectious. Our club secretary turns 90 next week, and he is my favorite person in our club, and he is the most fun person in the world to pick on because he gives as good as he gets. I presented him a 18 by 24 Royal Admiral 1800s painting with his face on it, and it hangs in our meeting room, and we pay $1 for it and things like that. It's fun. It's find what makes your club unique and embrace it, because you have something that no one else does. There's something that your club does that nobody else in the world does, and that makes you engaging. So lean into it.
But do be careful with that a little bit, because some people may be sensitive about being picked on for certain things. So definitely
you've got to
first
find,
step,
yes,
get to know them, get to know what people like and are comfortable with. And like, Steve, you're okay with people saying that to you and they pay fines and it works out. And Eric, your secretary, is fine with being picked on because he gives, but just be careful with new members until you get to know them.
Have a Rotary speed dating event where you go through a night and get to know each other. Because, you know, once, whether you're a small club or you're a big club, you're going to learn something new about your members, but do something that lets you get a feel for everybody in your club. My whole first year in Rotary, I knew like 3 people in our club, and I sat with those 3 people and I stayed that way. And it wasn't until I got onto the board where I kind of broadened those horizons. But you do something fun with your club to get to know each other. Have fun. Rotary should be fun. Don't make it a business meeting. Have fun.
Yeah, and our club does a lot. I mean, just from these discussions, I'm learning too, like our club does a lot of things, but we don't have as much fun as we could and get to know each other as we could. We tend to focus on the hands-on projects, kind of like a business, but there's ways we could still have fun and then we can do even more together. So
2 years ago, we had bringing our president online to be sworn in, and they did a alien abduction. And he was on our board, he was our treasurer, and so he was abducted into becoming the president of Rotary. And he told everybody he's been abducted to do it because he didn't volunteer. So he actually got alien hats and glasses and had, Area 51 in the background. And when we swore all the members in and all the board in, it was an abduction ceremony. That was pretty good. Yeah, it was a hilarious night.
That's funny. So we're about to shift in just a minute. So just one last question I wanted to ask. Did anybody answer yes to Jeff's poll question about starting a new club? Anybody considering that? Eric did. Before I come to you, Eric, anybody? Oh, looks like they're shifting us out. Okay, well, just something to think about. Starting a new club is another way to get some interest in new topics and such. So, oh, I thought you disappeared. Eric, go ahead.
Oh no, that's trippy. So that's new in Zoom. I raised my hand and then it automatically did the raised hand thing. Nice. AI. Trippy. So I, as of last week, I am taking on a new job role where I won't be able to go to my Rotary Club meeting anymore. And it's the only one in town. It's at noon on Thursdays. Well, this new job role doesn't let me do that. So my goal now is to start a satellite club that meets in the evenings, that has, better hours. And I used to be a teacher, and I think there are a lot of great teacher Rotarians out there who can't go to meetings during the week because, they're teaching. So I think an evening club would be a fantastic way for us to drive some membership as well. But the onus is on me now because in a couple of weeks, I won't be able to go to my club anymore. So I'm going to have to create a club that I can go to, because we're the only group in town.
And a great point you made before when we talked about satellite clubs is you don't lose members. They still count in your host club, your parent club. It's billed and counted. So you're not losing members. You're just opening up another avenue for new people to join. And you only need 8, a minimum of 8 to start a satellite. So just something for the folks here to consider if you're running into that, where members can attend your current meeting, or they might be interested in a specific topic and you want to form a satellite around that topic, something to consider to draw in new members or keep existing members that are considering leaving.
And Jen's exactly right. And that's always been the key argument I've heard against starting a satellite club is, oh, well, you're taking members away. No, they're still part of your club. They're just like a limb. It's a hand. They're over here now, but they're still connected because oh no, I thought I got moved again.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I was in the middle of talking the last time when we got shifted. But they're part of your club, and it's a way to entice people who couldn't go to your normal club meeting time. And it opens up a whole new avenue of members. And it's a different way to be engaging too. Maybe some of your members don't like the traditional meeting and you start a separate club and they're engaged again. You know, it's a way to constantly bring Rotary into the future because we've kind of been stuck. So it's a good way to open up new avenues.
And the information I'm sharing right now on.
Oh,
Hi,
we got moved.
everyone.
Even though Jeff warns us of the shift, Eric and I have both been speaking when we shift over both times. So hi, everybody. Okay, so this session is member engagement. And Eric and I, the way we've run this as facilitators is we really try to start a discussion so that we learn from each other of what's working and maybe what's not too. We're talking about both. So I'll just start us off with a question. What is working in your club now for member engagement? Does anybody want to talk a little bit about ideas that are
no option? They have to work on this project. That's it. I start.
Okay. All right. So kind of a militant approach.
We used to do it that way. So, okay, you're new, you're assigned to this program.
And it is good to give new members a job. It really is actually. Yeah. So maybe not too militant, maybe do it in a gentle way, but yeah, it is good to give new members a job for sure. Anyone else that has things that are working?
Our meetings had become very fun and very crazy, very early in the morning. And so we get a ton of people to come because they don't know what wackiness is going to ensue. And I'm really nervous because I am not as much of an entertainer as Brad is. And so I hope I can maintain that level of craziness to keep people coming.
Can you give an example?
Yeah, so we have a band that plays in the morning and we all sing together. And then during the end of the meeting, it wouldn't be abnormal for us to recruit the speaker to get up and dance to some music that someone has on their iPhone. You know, the Happy Bucks are crazy, the Fines are crazy. It's just a ton of fun. And so we're averaging 70% attendance at all of our meetings. And it's weekly meetings. And so people are coming and they're just really having a good time. Are they doing stuff? We're starting to get there, but you know, but people are engaged and they are having a good time and never regretting coming that early in the morning. So
getting people there is half the battle. So if you're providing a fun experience that people are looking forward to, you're doing better than most clubs. So lean into that. You know, you're doing something, lean into the thing that makes your club you and special, and lean into that because you offer something that nobody else does. So find out whatever your special thing is and lean into it. Have fun with it.
Yep. Anyone else have anything that's working really well that they want to share?
Yeah, and I don't know if this is more focused on new, but you know, for our new members, we do what's called STAR. So it's a breakfast in addition to the regular meeting, but do it just once a month, and we cycle through all of the committee chairs, the project leaders, officers, and so and anybody can attend. So we encourage the current membership to go as well, and some do, but that really gets them connected to our service projects.
And is that a separate meeting from your normal meeting?
Separate meeting. Yeah, it's a breakfast meeting once a month, usually the day before. So it'll be like a Wednesday morning. Our regular lunch meeting is a Thursday. So it is totally separate, and then they have a red badge as well as opposed to our white badge, so that everybody, is encouraged, right, to go up and engage them. and talk to them about what they're involved in. And so, you know, hey, something you'd be interested in. The other thing we've done is have those new members actually work the front, you know, check people in, help count money, help with the announcements, things like that, so that they're very visible, you know, and we tell them right away that their role is important.
That's awesome. Yeah, jobs are really important for new members. And also just because we're on the, oh, go ahead, Leah.
Like Mark was saying, engaging the new members into working in the front, at the front, they get to know the members of the club. They somebody, you know, the sponsor may have brought them in, but they get to know each member and what this member does in the community and stuff like that. So it's very important that they get that and learn how to do the money situation. They pick up money and they need to know, okay, that was cash, that was check and stuff like that. They need to know that kind of stuff, because you never know when you're gonna have to call on somebody there that has that needs to pitch in for you and stuff like that. So they need to know that stuff. And the most important is having them laid out. This is what you'll do, that for 2 weeks. You'll do that for 2 weeks, and greet the new the members as they come in, you know, and hand them their badge and say, "Oh, your badge is here," and stuff like that. So it does work that way. We do that in our club. I kind of insist that the club does it. I can't insist as much since I'm not the president or anything like that, but I try to insist on that, especially if I'm the sponsor for that person. I try to insist that my new person comes in and does that, sits with me if I need to and stuff like that.
Yep, I think that's critical. And George, it looked like you had your hand up. Is that right?
Yeah, I look at the club newsletter as a way of engagement, also by letting the club members know something interesting about the speaker that's coming to make them want to come, and also to preparing for upcoming big events like the district conference and that kind of thing.
Nice.
We talked about in the other session. Sorry, Jen, go ahead.
No, you go. You go.
Sorry. Having like a Rotary speed dating event for all your members. You know, you may have members who have been in the same club for 50 years, and I guarantee you there'll still be new things to learn about each other. You know, sit them down face to face and have them get to know each other. New, old, doesn't matter. And really kind of reacquaint yourselves with your club, because a lot of us go and it's the same faces. We sit with the same people. We do the same thing week in and week out, and you're missing out on what makes your club vibrant, which is the people. So, you know, having an event like that where you're kind of forcing that interaction between people can be really healthy and really good for your club.
I thought about picking a topic of the week or a couple topics, right, to where, you know, they're kind of required to give a quick speech on how they feel about certain things, right? And it could uncover a need for service, or it could be something that they're really proud of, that maybe they were too shy to talk about before. But it is a good way for people to really connect with each other, I think.
Mark, how do you feel about llamas? Let's go.
About which one? Niners?
Llamas.
Oh,
let's talk about, you know, we talked about we were going to start a cause-based llama club in the last group, but no, it's the fun things like that are engaging, that get you to talk. It can be something stupid. It doesn't have to be serious. You know, you could get into a big debate about, you know, the football teams this weekend, or, you know, whatever, but it's that getting that interaction is the important piece.
Yeah. And I like what you said, Mark, about giving people the opportunity to talk about what it might help, like how they're feeling. So it might identify a need or something that they're excited about. So that's a great way. Another way that I just want to share as a tool that's linked in the Vibrant Club brochure that Jeff sent out to everybody. So here's that Vibrant Club brochure here, and page 4 to me is like the most important page because it's got links to all the tools that we're talking about today. But a way to find out what your club members want is a survey, and you can do the survey in a number of different ways. You can do it electronically, like through SurveyMonkey or Google Forms, and I will offer my services if anybody wants any help setting that up. You can print it out on paper and have your members do it in the meeting, because I find most people, a lot of people don't really want to respond to electronic surveys. Some do, but some don't. So if you just do it in the meeting, that's another great way. And then collect it. Or like you said, even better, like even further on the engagement spectrum is asking the members individually how they feel. So it is really important to do that. And here's that survey tool just so you see. And it suggests a lot of questions, and you don't have to ask every question. You can pick the ones that are most important to you, but it's a great guide for getting input of what people like or don't like. And what they don't like is just as important, if not more important, than what they do. So I just wanted to share that tool.
Excellent.
Good. Okay. So another topic, and then just to get back to new members, something else that was linked in the Vibrant Club brochure. It's in addition to giving a job, which I think is the most important thing. The next most important thing is really orienting new members to Rotary so they know what the heck they've joined, because Rotary is an amazing global organization. And we all know that, those of us that have been in here for a while and learned about what Rotary does, but your new members don't know. And so just giving them a quick orientation can help them be more interested in the organization and stay with you as well. So another tool that's linked in that Vibrant Club document. Okay, anybody else want to share what's working for them or what's not working?
We have an honest to goodness new member mentor program now, and it's been making a huge difference. So we've really intentionally paired everybody up. We had a huge uptake of members. We have like a very past president heavy club. Like we have a lot of people who've been in the club since the beginning of the club, and they've all been presidents of the club. And, so that's fun. But they all volunteered for mentoring. So now, and I've been seeing the new members coming out to stuff more because they've had somebody just, moving them along and creating a vision for them, an individualized pathway of how they can move forward. So yeah, it's been working really well.
Great. Does anybody else have a mentoring program that's working well?
We kind of vacillate between making sure that the sponsor is the one, who's mentoring, and we kind of make sure, okay, well, if that person who brought them in hasn't been coming to meetings, right, they can't really help that much. So trying to make sure that there is somebody assigned there.
Nice.
But yeah, I'm curious there, like how many of you use just the sponsoring member as their mentor versus having it be someone different?
We do. We always had said, like you said, Mark, the person that brought them in should be the one to mentor them. But we have a member in our club that brings in some good people. He's not the mentoring type. Okay. So we had to make an adjustment this year and say that person brings great people in, but he's not the mentoring type. So we put a mentor type attitude person with that person.
Yeah. You have the hunter versus the gatherer, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great idea. And it's really important, like they talk about member engagement and retention. Like Rotary has a big retention problem. We bring in a bunch of new members every year, but we lose just as many or even, a couple more. So it's really important to have some stickiness. That's what they talked about in one of our AGLG trainings at the zone level. And the stickiness involves having having it be meaningful for the person to attend. They're doing something that they want to do, but also having a friend in the club and someone or a sponsor or a mentor that they feel connected to. They're more likely to stay if you meet those two criteria. So yeah, just something to consider.
Yeah, Jen, that struck me too when I first got into Rotary, that people get really turned on by a specific project that they fall in love with. Like it struck me at my first district conference, there were people that seemed like they were really into RILA. They loved RILA, and that alone would keep them in Rotary forever. And the same thing with the Rotary Youth Exchange, and then just service projects in general. And that struck me that if you can marry people up with some interest that really turns them on, then you've
Yep.
got them for life.
And youth programs are that for the vast majority of members. You're exactly right. Like RILA is huge for a lot of members and it really makes them passionate about it. So do consider if you're not involved with youth programs very much in your club, consider increasing that because more likely than not, people that join Rotary want to work with youth. So you're exactly right about that, George.
And I guess, yeah, my wife this morning was mentioning that, a lot of kids in our schools are struggling, with their grades because, COVID, they got disconnected, and there is an opportunity for Rotary with its emphasis on youth and literacy to perhaps get out and change that dynamic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Broad appeal to let people, maybe volunteer almost spontaneously, right, to go out and help on that initiative.
And here in New Mexico, and I'm not sure about the statistics in Western Texas, but I know New Mexico, where we have such a need in education for young people, like we're kind of the bottom of the pile. So that is a place where it can kind of marry up what Rotary wants to do with something that's really needed in our state, for sure. Other thoughts?
One thing that we randomly did, like we didn't seek this out, but it happened, is we now have a Boy Scout troop that is attached to our Rotary Club. That
Awesome.
we are the sponsoring organization, and we're getting all kinds of interesting synergies from that, not to mention labor at things, but also the boys want to help build the ramps, and it's very cool. And I haven't quite figured out how to get the parents in the Rotary Club, but it's a good start to youth programs and something that people can plug into.
Cool.
George, you want to say anything on that?
Oh, my Rotary Club in Los Lunas, we also sponsor a Cub Scout group and a Boy Scout group. And for the education of the group, it's very confusing, but Boy Scouts of America, the umbrella organization, now has girls. So you have girl Scout troops and you have Boy Scout troops. And so you have a huge pool of potential youth contacts.
Yep. Awesome.
Something you can do talking about youth programs is ask your local schools what help they need. And it may be, going to read to elementary school kids, or it may be helping high school kids learn how to job interview, things like that. A lot of kids in this generation are missing that adult leadership at home. And Rotarians are great at that. And there's an opportunity there for you to build a whole new avenue of service for your club by just asking your local schools, what do you need? What can we do? And you might find a lot of that engagement there, because Jen's right. Youth programs seem to be the most engaging aspect of what Rotary does.
For the majority. Like you can find lots of topics that engage people, but if you really want to simplify it, if you go with youth programs, most likely you won't go wrong. You're going to engage someone. So. Okay. Did anybody happen to answer yes when Jeff asked this morning if you would consider starting a new club? Anybody answer? And anybody want to talk about that? I saw you shake your head first, Meredith. So
Well,
start
I
with
don't
you.
know if my club wants to do it. But
you do.
we have a really good setup for hybrid. We have a giant TV screen in our room. And I'm like, an e-club would be really interesting. And I was gonna, and I was even talking about setting that up anyway, like recording the speaker parts of the meetings and then having people be able to do makeups by watching that and commenting on a Facebook page or something like that, like the Silicon Valley Rotary Club does, because I have done makeups with them and it's cool. But I'm like listening to this conversation and kind of wondering about an e-club like around literacy, around, helping people, because it's so causal. Like if you look at homeless people, how many people are illiterate of that population? It's so basic and so important. And so just it's right now it's just I'm not committing my club to anything because I've talked to nobody about it. But it's just an interesting idea.
That's a great idea. And the nice thing about adding satellite clubs, I'd have to investigate cause-based clubs, maybe Eric, but definitely satellite clubs, you just need 8 people and it's still counted as part of your main club. So you're not losing members. You're still counting them, billing for them, but it just opens up either another good time, another pipeline for people to join, or another topic like literacy that they're interested in, that just adds to your membership. And I just want to share, I'll bring up, so again, just going back to that Vibrant Club brochure. So keep this brochure because there's so many good resources. And if you click on the Vary Your Meeting Format tab, or link rather, because everything's linked in there. And then one of the links down below here has to do with different models and satellite clubs. And so I just wanted to highlight here, it spells it right out. If you're members of the sponsor, satellite club members are members of the sponsor club, same billings, you're not losing members. And it's just another way to get more people. And sorry, Eric, go ahead, I see your hand.
No, you can be a satellite club that just also happens to be cause-based.
That's
There's
kind of what I
ways
was
around
thinking.
that. So
Yeah,
you don't
yeah.
have to worry about it. So you only have to have 8 members to start a satellite club. No one is stealing your membership away. They are still, think of it as a limb. They're the hand of your club. They're just over here. They're still part of you, but you're opening up an entire new avenue of membership because the time or the place doesn't work for people. So engaging in a satellite club can be really helpful for your clubs as well.
And Marty, would you be willing to talk about yours and your quarterly meeting and how that's working?
Talk
You
about
did a little bit.
the quarterly
Yeah,
meeting?
you talked a little bit about it in the session this morning, but how successful, if you want to talk a little more about how successful that's been for you.
I hope I'm not re-saying what I already said, but the quarterly meetings, I think, are very, very important to bring everybody together. The satellite members together with the big club members together with the spouses together. Okay. We plan the meetings, and it's a planned meeting. It's not just throwing a meeting together. Last night we had the head of the Albuquerque Biopark Zoo come, the board, part of the board, and then the guy that's in charge of the zoo. And we had a live band come, and we had an introduction to a new member last night. We inducted a new member last night. And the meeting just flowed. The energy was just fantastic. And what I like to do at those meetings is a lot of people will come when it's a long meeting. I think they get bored. So what I've done on my last 2 or 3 quarterly meetings, I will have the speaker speak, and I have him break it up into 4 or 5 sections. Okay. So the speaker spoke last night, and he went with one topic of what the zoo did. Okay. And then he stopped, and then I had the band play. Okay. Then we had them come, and we had him continue with another topic. Maybe it was the what do they call that light thing where they do the Christmas lights every year?
River of Lights.
He talked about River of Lights last night, and he gave the whole thing on River of Lights. Then then we had the singer sing, the band sing, and then he talked about caring for animals. Okay, how much it costs to feed an animal. I mean, this was very, very interesting. And then just by choice, listen to this. What JJ, who's on the call now, he had invited a guest to come to our meeting. And I guess in the conversation, the guest that he invited does the ultrasounds for the zoo. He volunteers. So we had him come up and speak about the need for volunteering within the zoo, because the zoos, most of their people that they are how did they say? A lot of their funding has a shortfall. So a lot of the zoos going on and making it successful is volunteer. Okay. And then I did a little fun thing I always do a fun thing on my quarterly meetings. I dress up in an outfit and with that theme, and everybody just seems to have a great time. I can't even express it. It's like a mini one-night Rotary convention.
Nice. Oh, George, you're on your mute. Go ahead, George.
I was just going to say, this is really hard for Marty because he's very, very shy.
Yes, I can see that. Yeah, it's a real problem.
Okay.
Anybody else that's maybe, and it's okay if you don't want to speak, but a couple in the group haven't had a chance yet. So maybe Kristen, I'll just check in with you. Anything you wanted to share, questions you have, and it's totally okay if you don't want to.
No, I'm just soaking it in since I'm a couple years away yet from my president role, just learning.
Nice. Great. Patty, anything you wanted to raise? Thoughts, questions?
I think I have a lot of homework to do.
It's all good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
And
there is a lot.
And I always, when I go to meetings like this, you get bombarded with so many great ideas that at a certain point it's almost overwhelming. And so I always think back to, I wish that when I was president, I had done a better job at delegating things to other people. So, and that keeps people engaged. Plus it keeps you from going crazy.
Agreed. Michael, anything you wanted to raise? Again, totally fine if not.
No, I don't really have anything. I'm just enjoying hearing these ideas because we have discussed satellite clubs. We've discussed how to make. I like the idea of the literacy because that is one of our goals is to invest more in our literacy council here. So I never thought about that being a satellite club. So I'm just thankful for the information.
Cool. John, and do you go by JJ? Are you JJ? Got it.
Yes, I go by JJ. We've had some technical difficulties here today, so I'm on my iPad. I'm like Kristen. I'm here kind of a year early, and I'm just trying to gain as much knowledge as I can. So I have a little bit of time to get up there. So, but I will say that being in the club right now with Marty as the president is a real hoot. He got dressed up in a zebra outfit.
Oh, I was trying to guess what it would be. I didn't guess zebra. That's great.
From dancing in last night. It was hilarious. So we have a great club. I'm very happy to be part of it.
Awesome.
Kind of tied into your tip about delegation. One thing we've talked about with the satellite clubs is we have our Rotaractors and they're very active. And we're like, hey, why don't you guys take this on, go around town? It would fit well where they're, if they're younger, they would prefer to go to happy hour and, do a wine tasting or whatever and feel it out and try to be a magnet maybe for the satellite club, so using, some of our younger folks to really help with that effort, because they're going to have the energy probably, and they're not going to accept no from people. So
awesome. Yeah. So if I were to sum up this session, I
would like to add one thing on that note. What is it? What is the name of the committee, Marty? That kind of
social committee.
The social committee turned into a fellowship committee.
Yeah.
And they have happy hours and pop-up happy hours about once a month. And it was really a great way for us to all kind of get to know each other in a manner outside of the structured Rotary meeting type of scenario. So I think, personally, I've hired one of the retired Rotarians to come in and be an executive in my business. So I kind of have a lot of mentoring right here, right next to me at my desk at work all day. But it's kind of become, for me, my social life is really tied in with it. Golf and the Rotary Club and the guy that I work with in these happy hours, which has brought my wife, who will not be a Rotarian, but loves to come to these social functions that we have. And she loves to host the meetings at our house. So she has a great time. But anyway, yeah, I've learned a lot that way. So it wasn't outside of the regular structure of Rotary.
Yeah. Yeah. So just to sum up, because we have talked about a lot of great stuff and it can be overwhelming, but I would say the takeaways from this discussion are make it as fun as you can, because that's really going to keep people coming back. And that's your foundation for what you want to do. For new members, give them a job right away and a mentor so they feel connected to the club. Make sure you ask your members either through a survey or just speaking to them one-on-one. Ask them what they want and especially what they don't want. And then also consider new clubs as another avenue to join the satellite club to even increase your pipeline for your club. So I think those are, and also just if you really want to give your members something meaningful, youth some aspect of youth is usually a good way to do that, because most people, a lot of people that join Rotary, that's what they want to do. So did I miss anything, Eric?
You know, satellite clubs are great. My club doesn't know this yet, but we're starting a satellite club because I've got a new job and I won't be able to attend my Rotary Club anymore. And it's the only one in town, and it's at noon on Thursdays, and it doesn't work. And I don't want to give up Rotary, so we're going to establish an evening satellite club so that we can bring in new people, and we can, that way I don't have to leave Rotary. But it's an opportunity that didn't exist not too long ago. So it's great to bring that in and to be flexible and to have an opportunity to get people who you wouldn't normally get, because maybe your meeting's in the middle of the day and it just doesn't work for people. So don't be afraid to try new things.
Is that going to be the Llama Club, Eric?
Yeah, I think so. We're going to have that's our cause-based Llama Club. But like I said, things have changed and I don't want to give up Rotary, but I can't go to my meeting. So it's going to be a good opportunity for us to do something different, and try and see what works.
Oh, you're on mute, Kristen, if you're trying to say something. And we are just about to be moved out, by the way.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Okay. And the only other thing I would say, because it can get overwhelming for presidents, there's so much information. Please do rely on your AGs and LGs. We love Rotary. A lot of us have been in for a little while, and we can help point you in the right direction. So presidents, you are not alone. Do reach out. All right. See you in the other room.